Usually when we talk about building a life or I guess building a character, we really lean heavily on construction metaphors.
Yeah, we really do.
Right. Like you lay a brick every time you make a choice, you build a resume, you construct an identity,
Mm.
and there's this underlying kind of unquestioned assumption in our culture that you are quite literally what you do.
Right, like your actions are you.
Exactly. Every single action is just this permanent building block of, well, you.
It's a very cumulative way of looking at existence, I think.
Oh, totally.
We basically tend to view our lives as a ledger, you know, where every action is an entry.
Like an accounting book.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And eventually, the sum total of that ledger just equals your identity.
Which, I mean, that feels like a tremendous amount of pressure when you really think about it.
Oh, absolutely. It's exhausting.
But today on the deep dive, we've got this really fascinating stack of sources in front of us that completely dismantle that idea.
Yeah, they really tear it down.
We're looking at ancient philosophy, specifically commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita, alongside some modern psychological interpretations of identity and action.
Which is a really interesting pairing.
It is. And our mission today is to figure out if we are truly just the sum of our choices, or if there is this, like, radical, almost unbelievable freedom hiding right beneath the surface of our daily actions.
Right, and to set the stage for this, we really have to look at the exact phrasing that's central to these texts.
Okay.
Because they pose a very specific question, which is, does what you do bind you?
That's what you do bind you.
Exactly. And the precision there is crucial. The text isn't asking if what happens to you binds you, you know?
Right, so we aren't analyzing trauma or luck or just external circumstances.
No, not at all. And it's not even asking if what you believe binds you.
Interesting.
Yeah, the focus is entirely on the verb do. The very act of doing is what's put under the microscope here.
Okay, let's unpack this, because usually we just accept doing as the baseline of reality.
We do.
We just assume our actions are the fundamental DNA of who we are, right?
Right.
Like, if you do good things, you are a good person. If you do selfish things, you are a selfish person. We treat it as this perfect one-to-one ratio.
Yeah, and the sources actually call this default setting the vernacular form of karma.
Vernacular karma.
Yeah, and I should probably clarify that when most people hear the word karma, they instantly imagine like a cosmic accounting system.
Oh, for sure, like a universal naughty and nice list.
Exactly. Or some kind of divine retribution where the universe just punishes you for bad behavior.
Right, like if I cut someone off in traffic and then like 5 minutes later I spill hot coffee all over my shirt, I immediately go, well, that's karma.
Right, we all do that. It's just human nature. But the philosophical text strips all of that mystical morality away.
So it's not about punishment.
No, vernacular karma isn't about cosmic punishment at all. It is simply about the observable physics of momentum.
Physics of momentum. Okay.
Yeah, it's a self being shaped by its own inertia. The text basically outlines this progression step by step.
Walk me through it.
Okay, so you act. That act leaves a microscopic groove in your psyche.
A groove, right.
And that groove makes it just a tiny bit easier and a little more frictionless for the next action to fall into that exact same path.
So it's pulling you in.
Exactly. The groove actively pulls the next action into it. And slowly, over time, a deep channel forms.
Okay, I'm trying to picture this in a modern context. It sounds a lot like a behavioral algorithm,
Oh, that's a good comparison.
like the video feed on your social media app. Let's say you click on one video about, I don't know, extreme baking.
Extreme baking, sure.
That click is the initial action. It leaves a groove, the algorithm registers it and feeds you 2 more videos.
Right.
You click those, and suddenly your entire homepage, like your digital identity in that space, is nothing but 10-tier wedding cakes and aggressive pastry chefs. Am I basically programming my own algorithm with every choice?
That is a phenomenal way to visualize it. Yes, you are absolutely training the algorithm of your own habits.
Wow.
We just assume that character is conduct, compounded over time.
Yeah.
That to do a thing is to become the kind of person who does that thing.
Right.
And by becoming that person, you are somewhat fated to keep doing it again and again. The channel dictates the flow of the water.
Man, that's heavy. And for you, listening right now, I want you to reflect on your own daily habits.
Yeah, think about your routines.
How often do you feel like you are just riding in the grooves of your past choices? You wake up, you follow the exact same routine.
You react to a stressful email the exact same way you always do.
Exactly. You argue with your partner using the same tired script. We just assume that channel, that internal algorithm, is our true self.
And the deeper that channel gets, the more bound we feel by it. We feel like we physically can't act any differently because the momentum of our past actions is just too strong.
Right, the groove is too deep.
Exactly. So this is the vernacular view. This is the assumption that 99% of lives run on.
Okay, but you said there was a catch.
There is. The text introduces a completely different possibility,
Hmm.
a radical counterclaim that challenges this entire physics equation.
So if the algorithm of my habits is already set, and I'm feeling completely, I don't know, doomed to repeat myself forever, what is the alternative? Does the text actually say the physics equation is wrong?
It does. It proposes a concept that, honestly, it admits takes some real sitting with.
Okay, lay on me.
It suggests that the doer is never actually touched by the doing.
Wait, what? How is that physically or psychologically possible? Every action has a reaction.
Right, that's our default assumption.
If I build a house, my hands get callous. The doing touches me.
Sure, on a physical level.
Yeah.
But to explain the mechanism of this internally, the text offers a really vivid metaphor.
Okay.
I want you to imagine a hand moving through a pool of water.
Okay, got it.
As the hand moves forward, the water parts to let it through. And the second the hand passes, the water closes right back up behind it. It leaves absolutely no lasting trace. The hand was in the water, yes. It felt the temperature, it felt the resistance.
But it doesn't stay wet.
Exactly. It was never wet in any permanent sense. It just moved through a medium.
Mm-hmm.
When you pull the hand out, it returns to itself completely unchanged.
Okay, I see the image. It was just passing through. It didn't, like, absorb the water or turn into water.
Exactly that. And the text asks, was the hand bound by its movement? No.
No, it wasn't.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, most spiritual traditions that take the concept of liberation seriously eventually arrive at some version of this exact idea.
Really?
Yeah. The text specifically references the Bhagavad Gita, which gives this practice a formal name,
Which is?
acting without attachment to the fruits of action.
Okay, I need to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
Because if doing things creates these deep grooves that bind us up, and the goal is to not be bound by our actions, shouldn't we just stop doing things altogether?
That's the logical conclusion most people jump to.
Right, like if the water is the problem, why not just keep my hand out of the pool?
Right.
I'll just sit on the couch, do absolutely nothing, and avoid making any grooves at all.
And a very logical leap. If action equals bondage, then zero action should equal zero bondage.
Makes sense to me.
But the Bhagavad Gita explicitly warns against this. It states that trying not to act is actually its own trap.
Wait, how is doing nothing a trap? I'm literally avoiding making a groove.
Because sitting on the couch refusing to act is still an action.
Oh.
You are still making a choice. In fact, it's often a very subtle ego performance.
Ego performance, what do you mean?
Well, you're sitting there actively trying to be the enlightened person who doesn't act. You are deeply attached to an outcome. The outcome just happens to be inaction.
Oh, wow, yeah, that makes sense.
The text makes it very clear. True liberation isn't about doing nothing. You must act. Life requires it. The hand has to go into the water.
But hold on, if inaction is an ego performance, how is acting without caring about the outcome not just another ego performance?
That's the tricky part.
Like, aren't I just pretending to be aloof? How do I genuinely detach without just faking it?
That is the core struggle of the text. It's not about forcing yourself to not care. Apathy is just another groove.
Right, apathy is just another pose.
Exactly. True detachment is about shifting where the action originates.
Where it originates.
Liberation is about acting from a place so prior to the outcome that the doing passes through you rather than accumulating in you.
Passes through you.
Yeah. The action happens because the moment demands it, but you do not use that action to inflate or diminish your sense of self. You remain exactly what you were before the hand entered the water.
Okay, so if we establish that we absolutely have to act, that doing things is just a mandatory, unavoidable part of being alive,
Yes.
then the real difference isn't whether we act, but how and why we act.
Precisely. And the psychological commentary we have breaks this down by contrasting two fundamentally different types of people.
Okay, who are they?
The bound actor and the unbound actor.
Let's look at the psychology of the bound actor first. What is driving them?
Fear. fundamentally.
Sure.
According to the text, a bound actor operates from a place of deep insecurity. They do things because not doing them feels dangerous to their sense of self.
Dangerous how? Like a threat to their ego?
Yes, exactly. A threat to the narrative they've meticulously built. A threat to the image they project. And the accumulation of all those identity bricks we talked about in the intro.
Oh, right, the construction project.
Exactly. For the bound actor, every single choice is shadowed by this low-level, constant dread of becoming the wrong kind of person, or failing to be recognized as the right one.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. Because of this, their actions are always doing what the text calls double duty.
Here's where it gets really interesting, this idea of double duty. Let's apply this to a scenario I think almost everyone listening can relate to.
Sure, let's do it.
Imagine you're in a meeting at work and your boss asks if anyone can take on a massive, complicated new project over the weekend.
The dreaded weekend project.
Right. And you raise your hand and say yes. Now, are you doing it because the team genuinely needs help and you actually have the availability and skills to do it?
Right.
Or are you doing it to protect your image as the indispensable go-getter of the office?
For the bound actor, it is absolutely the latter.
Always the latter.
Yeah, you are doing the project, that's duty number one, but you're also frantically maintaining a self-image that needs that project to mean something about your worth. That's duty number two.
And doing double duty all day, every day. I mean, that sounds incredibly exhausting.
It is the primary cause of modern burnout, honestly. You aren't just sending an email. You are sending an email to prove you are a dedicated employee.
Right.
You aren't just cooking dinner for your family. You are cooking a complex meal to prove you are a loving, capable partner.
The doing is always tethered to the maintenance of a fragile self.
Yes. Every action carries the weight of an existential crisis.
So how do we actually stop doing that? Like, if I'm in that meeting and my boss asks for a volunteer, my heart rate spikes. My bound actor reflex kicks in. How does an unbound actor handle that exact same moment?
The unbound actor does things simply because the situation calls for them.
Just because it's needed.
Because something is needed in reality, not in their ego. To make that shift in the middle of a meeting, the text suggests a practice of internal pausing.
Okay, pausing.
You notice the fear, you notice the urge to maintain your avatar, and then you deliberately decouple the task from your identity.
Decouple it.
You ask yourself, does this project actually need my skills right now? If yes, you do it. But you do it because life is moving and you're moving with it.
So the unbound actor takes on the project just because the project needs doing.
Exactly.
The hand goes into the water, writes the report, and comes out.
Yep.
And when Monday morning rolls around and the project is over, they don't carry the weight of being the savior of the office into the next meeting.
That is the crucial difference. The action arises, it completes itself, and it leaves the doer exactly where they were, whole and undiminished.
They don't drag it with them.
No, they are ready for whatever the next moment requires without dragging the baggage of the last moment with them. They aren't trying to prove they exist. They're just responding to reality as it presents itself.
I really love that idea. But to actually make that shift, to go from a bound actor, like white-knuckling their identity, to an unbound actor just flowing with life, we have to confront something much deeper.
That we do.
We have to answer the ultimate question this text is driving toward.
Yes, because the text reveals that the real question isn't actually, does what you do bind you?
It's not.
No, the deeper fundamental question is, who do you think you are before you do anything at all?
Wow. Let that sink in for a second if you're listening. Who do you think you are before you act?
This is where our modern framework, which is built entirely on identity through achievement, gets very uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Because if there is something anterior, something prior to all action,
Prior to it, right.
some foundational ground that action moves across but never actually changes, then it means the self is not a project.
Which blows up our whole construction metaphor from the beginning of the deep dive.
It completely shatters it.
If I am something prior to my actions, then I don't need to lay bricks.
You don't. If you are whole before you act, then you are not an unfinished building.
I was never unfinished.
Right. You are never in need of the next right action to somehow complete you or validate your existence. And the commentary points out that realizing this doesn't make action meaningless.
It doesn't.
No, it actually makes action free.
Because if I don't need the action to prove I have value, I can just do the work for the joy of the work itself.
Exactly. The text basically contrasts two ways of answering that question of who you are.
Okay, what are the two ways?
If your answer is that you are essentially a story, like a narrative character being written through your choices,
Then what?
then yes, every single action binds you. Every action is another sentence in the story, and you have identified yourself completely with making sure the plot makes sense.
You are trapped by the narrative you are writing.
Completely trapped.
But there's a second answer. The text proposes a different way to identify yourself.
Yes. What if the answer is that you are what precedes the story?
Precedes it.
The text introduces this concept of the anterior witness.
Whoa, anterior witness. That sounds incredibly academic.
It does sound a bit formal, yeah.
You mean anterior as in coming before. So we are the thing that existed before the action even started.
That's a perfect translation of it. The anterior witness is the part of you that simply watches.
It just watches.
It is the awareness that observes the fear, it observes the urge to act, and it observes the action itself.
Okay.
To help visualize this, the text uses this brilliant metaphor of weather and landscape.
Oh, I like metaphors.
I want you to imagine that your actions, your story, your choices, they're just weather systems.
Okay, weather systems.
And your true self, this anterior witness, is the landscape.
So the weather moves across the landscape.
Right. It is present, it is real, and sometimes the weather is incredibly violent. A hurricane of stress or a blizzard of bad decisions.
Sure.
But it is always passing. And no matter how fierce the storm is, it never alters the fundamental nature of the ground beneath it.
Wow.
The landscape doesn't try to fight the rain, it just lets it fall. If you realize you are the landscape, then you realize the binding was never actually necessary. The freedom was always already there.
So what does this all mean?
Well,
For you, listening right now, think about the emotional weight of this realization. Think about how utterly exhausting it has been to treat yourself as an endless construction project.
it's exhausting.
Every day, waking up and subconsciously thinking, what do I need to achieve today to maintain the architecture of me?
Right. Trying to keep the walls from falling down.
Exactly. And then think about the profound, almost dizzying relief of realizing that the freedom to just be is already yours.
It's a huge relief.
You don't have to build yourself. You just have to be the ground that the weather happens on.
It is a total paradigm shift. It shifts us from human doings back to human being.
I love that. Human beings.
And this brings us to the ultimate philosophical conclusion of the sources we are looking at. The realization that you were never the doing.
You are the watcher.
You are what watched the doing happen. The text leaves us with a final, absolutely striking image to summarize this entire concept.
Well, let's hear it.
And it ties beautifully back to that water imagery we used earlier with the hand. It says, water doesn't wet the sky, it reflects.
Water doesn't wet the sky, it reflects. That is incredibly poetic. The sky is intimately connected to the water below it. It mirrors the ripples and the waves perfectly, but it remains completely untouched by it.
It's the hand in the water, but elevated to a cosmic scale.
Right.
Your true self, the anterior witness, is the vast sky. Your actions, your daily life, are the water. They reflect each other in real time, but they do not contaminate each other.
Which leaves us with a pretty massive thought to chew on as we wrap up today's deep dive.
Definitely.
If your true self is just the sky reflecting the water, and your past actions literally couldn't leave a permanent mark on your fundamental nature,
Right.
what happens to your sense of regret or your guilt?
That's the big question.
We hold on to our past mistakes like they are permanent stains on our resume. We look at those broken building blocks and think they've ruined the whole structure of who we are.
We do. We hold on to them so tightly.
But if the you who made a terrible mistake 10 years ago was just a passing weather system over the landscape,
Yeah.
how does that change the way you wake up and choose your actions tomorrow morning?
It changes everything.
If you aren't forced to lay bricks anymore, what are you going to do with the open sky?
Yeah.
It's a huge question, and we encourage you to carry it with you as you move through your week. Thank you so much for exploring this material with us. Until next time.